Pelag in Kumauni and Khambakadi in Rajasthani. A warm welcome to all the learners across different platforms who are going to see this very important video in which I have tried to compile a list of questions asked in Rpsc, Assistant Professor English 2024. It's going to be a very important list, students, and I think it's also more so very important for all the candidates who are going to appear in the different interviews for assistant professor in English, and especially the candidates who are appearing in RPSC. So my best wishes before starting this list. I would like to give my heartfelt wishes, and being a heartfulness meditation trainer, I would like to say a very all the best to all the candidates across different exams who are going to fill. May the best person win, and with a very mm, what should I say? With a very seeking permission from my inner guru, I would like to start this. So let's get into the questions. So the type of questions in detail. So first of all, this list is kind of a mixture of a general type of questions that can be asked, and also type of questions that are asked from the candidate. So make no mistake, this is not a list compiled by me hypothetically. So this is the list compiled by, after taking into consideration from multiple angles, and asking many students and also personal experiences. So all these things are there. So first and very important question which is going to be asked is that if you have changed your streams, then I think there will be definitely a very solid question coming your way. So you have to be prepared for that, and the answer should be, again, it should be very practical, it should be honest, but at the same time it should not give the image of you being a kind of adamant person. So you have to strike a balance in giving your answers in such questions, because such questions reveal your psychology, and also they are very important for the board panel to understand and guess you as a person, right? So that is the first question. The second question is, of course, gap years. So this was very scrutiny, means this is very minutely scrutinized by the board. And if you have gap in your uh, academic curriculum or academic you can say studies, then you should be prepared for a very you can say reliable, very viable, I would use the word viable, which is basically practical kind of answer, and at the same time it should be real enough. Then what current profession you are doing as a candidate, it's going to be huge in projecting you as a solid candidate for this post. For example, many of the candidates are working as teachers, probably in guest, okay, and so their experience, the way you handle yourself, and questions related to teaching methodology, especially graduates and postgraduates you are going to teach. So this is going to be a very important question in terms of your psychology. Then basic list of books to be preferred for net English. Assuming that this is a exam for assistant professor, most of us, at least 90%, 90% of us are net or state qualified candidates. So in that they are going to ask you which are the basic list of books that you prepared from. And I would again like to give you my inputs is that be you can say very clear in your expression of your answers. Like, don't try to make up the facts, because the real experience of mine says that when we try to give a good answer, then during the critical moment we tend to forget it. But again, as I said, that there has to be a certain kind of sanity to your answer. For example, if you have done a certain decision, if you have made a certain decision which was wrong, then obviously you are not going to present it in that manner. So there has to be a delicate balance in presenting your answer. It should be honest, it should be practical, and most importantly, I would like to give the quality to the panel, which I think is very important, is convincing. It has to be convincing enough, particularly related to your biography, your choices that you have made in your life. and it differs from person to person. So rather than presenting a ready or preparing a ready-made answer for any question, think, ponder, meditate over it, and then come up with a certain kind of answer which should be, I mean, there has to be consistency of facts. I hope I am trying to make my point clear here. There has to be consistency of facts in your answers, right? It should not, and even if there is like a kind of up and down or irregularity, it has to be supported by proper logic. So that is very important. Then how do you guide students? For example, in certain cases, the aspirant himself or herself is a net coach, then this question is very important question that they are going to ask, especially if you have qualified net, then they may ask you as well this question. So that is there. Then standard books for reading theory, this is a very important question that they are asking. They have been asking in different panels that what is a standard book for reading theory. So it then kind of this question can go in any direction depending upon your biodata. So they may ask you that if, for example, you are doing PhD or you have done your PhD, then theory related to your PhD definitely is going to be next question. Then what is theory? Basic questions like theory and criticism, all these things are there. Then in certain cases, if you are a net coach, then advanced level questions like comparison between Peter Barry and MAR Habib. For example, if you have qualified net, you are very well aware of Peter Barry at least, and MAR Habib also for many students is not a very unfamiliar name, I would say. So then critical style of writing MAR Habib. So this question actually, what can be the general question out of this question is that, like, how do you read a book, especially if it's a book of criticism? You can frame this question in this way, that how do you read a book of criticism? Okay, so for example, if you have to say, for example, if you are reading any history book or if you are reading any book of criticism or theory, then what's your way of approaching that book? I mean, there are two ways of looking at a book as far as I can concern. One is for your self reading, and other is if you are going to present that as a teacher. So in both the cases, the perspective may differ. So that's very important to understand this thing, right? So that is there. And then leftist tendencies in MAR Habib's book. So if you are following this book, you will find out that the writer has a certain way of interpreting the book. It's not stereotyping the writer, but this is what we can say, that there has to be some point of reference for analyzing any book. So a book can be rightist, a book can be leftist, a book can be what should I say, feminist. So it depends on from which perspective you are looking, and also most importantly, what is the overall perspective of that writer inclining for, right? Then what is Marxist theory? This is a very common question that they have been asking. So I would say that all the candidates do prepare Marxism. It's actually a theory which is very much related to cultural studies, which is a separate unit in net. So Marxism can go in multiple directions, and it's also I mean, then this question was asked that correlate romantic criticism. I have underlined and bolded romantic criticism with Marxist perspective. So it's very interesting. When you ponder over this, you will clearly relate that there is you can say there is an inverse relation between the two movements. Like romantic was inclined towards nature, it was always talking about return to nature, and then Marxism was economically deterministic uh, poly, uh, theory, which was basically all about the rights of industrial workers or creating a balance between capitalist and labor. So you have to be very alert and aware at the time of speaking. The point is, all these things are very good when we are here trying to analyze any particular scenario. But when it is real time, when it is game time, to be switched on and calm at the same time, it requires a lot of practice. And for that, I am always a big supporter of meditation. At least do 5 to 10 minutes of deep breathing. If you are a candidate for any interview in the next coming 2 to 3 months, it's better to start early rather than to keep waiting for the final day to turn up. This is also a very important insight for all of us, because one day we have to give the interview, and ultimately it is better to keep to be always in shape, to be always in what should I say, always in hunt, rather than preparing one final, preparing 2 or 3 days before. I think that has never worked for me personally, at least. In fact, I have done well in my life whenever I was in shape, as they say in sports. If your body is in shape, everything is in rhythm. If you are finding everything slowly gaining confidence in a natural way, it's better rather than artificially superimposing it, just 2 or 3 days before. I think that never works, especially in literature, because literature is all about your heart. You have to express your heart over there. You can't make up the facts, isn't it? So that is there. Then questions related to your professional choices, like for example, if you shifted your choices from one profession to another, or examples are uh, if you are doing if you are doing a private coaching, like me, or else if you are a government employee, or else if you are a government employee, like in many cases in many states, like they are probably tehsildar or they are doing some other work, non-teaching. So how can you correlate that, and what's your basic ground for now coming to this profession? Then questions will be asked based on your reading interest, so be prepared for that as well. What are your reading interests, which are the books that you have read recently. It's a very important and very often asked questions, one of the often asked questions from the panel. So, and then if your interests are varying, then what is the logic behind that, all these things. Like, say for example, you can say that, sir, I have my interest in detective fiction. At the same time, for me, like I would say that detective fiction and spiritualism, what is the correlation, they may ask. So you can say that, when I started reading literature in my early 20s, I was hooked up by the detective fiction, but later on my interest gradually changed towards mysticism and eventually to spiritualism. So from detective fiction, there is a connection now, isn't it? From detective to mysticism and then to spiritualism, you can somehow connect the dots. So you have to continuously find out the ways in which your lifestyle, your biodata, your biography kind of find connecting the dots. Keep on connecting the dots, not in an inauthentic way, but in an authentic way, because you yourself have done that. All these things you have already done it. Now the point is how you can present in that crystal clear manner. It's all about how. It's not about what, it's about how you are going to present in those 20-25 minutes your best shot. And for that, again, I would reiterate that nothing magical would work, rather than being always in practice, being always positive, being always motivating for others. I have worked a lot in my life. I have self-helped a lot by helping others. That is my mantra, because whenever I try to help others, I have seen that it comes out in multiple ways to you. So this is a very common kind of refrain, or should I say, it's a very common means thing that I am telling you. But this do work. This thing does work, right? So then questions related to author of PhD and related thematic areas. This I have already mentioned. Then teaching and impact of key extra points, making the learning more accessible and pro student. For me, this is a very technical point. Like, if you are already teaching, then what are the extra points that you are doing, or that you are putting in your studies to make that learning more accessible, more pro student. Like you all know, guys, that I'm a big believer and follower of meditation. So for me, it always works whenever I say about meditation. For you, it can be different thing for different people. I have seen many literature teacher as good movie buff, so they can correlate that thing to movie. I have seen some of my friends, they were mad about cricket commentary. In fact, I was also very mad about cricket commentary. So cricket commentary, how it helped me in shaping my English language, that is one of the beautiful areas of research. Then similarly, music is a very interesting area which you can correlate. But the point is, each and every one of us is unique. So you have to find out your own ways in which you can correlate. And this is not only for interview students, this is for every student who is a student of literature. They have to correlate it to their real life. How can you not connect the poem of Wordsworth to your real life? It's simply unthinkable for a person like me that you cannot correlate. I mean, it's very obvious that you have to correlate, right? Even if you are going through the darkest phase of your life, you correlate that, isn't it, to literature. So that is there. Then questions on short story. So this is again a trending topic, because in the 21st century, short stories has been the short story has been rather the kind of the most preferred choices of writers, even preferring over novels. So that is one of the key areas where they can ask, and it's also one of the units in net also. They are always keeping that thing in mind, that it has to be connected to net somehow. Then again, in any PSC interview, there has to be concepts rather than facts. So if you are worried about, oh sir, I will forget that date, or I don't remember this date, I am telling you with a lot of conviction and lot of confidence that you don't have to mug up the facts. Facts is already done in your written exam. They know that you can actually perform well in terms of your of all these things like data and facts. Now, can you present it? Do you have in you? Do you have that stuff in you to present those things in a comprehensive manner, in a comprehensible manner? So that is what they are actually looking at. Then questions on Robert Frost. This was actually board demo that I always give. I have always given in my life. So this is one of the poems that you can prepare. But of course, there are multiple options that we can go, and whatever topic that we are preparing for board demo, it becomes a key topic. Then you must be aware of everything related to that, like the biography of the poet, the style of the poems that he or she writes, then the poet's age, what literature he or she falls into. Everything has to be comprehensively prepared, and your confidence in delivering those lines is also very important. Again, I would say in those areas, in those pivotal moments when the stress would be there, expectations would be there probably, and in that moment, if you can handle yourself and you can present yourself in the best way possible, then I think nobody is going to stop you. And then this is also the quote that has been asked in the interview panel, that interpret this line: every cloud has a silver lining. So this is a very important such kind of quotes. They what does this line tells you? It tells you about resilience in life. It tells you about the more darker the phase, the better chances of your learning are. And connecting it to my personal life, those who know me personally inside out, many of my students, co-learners, colleagues, they have seen that in fact when I touched the allegedly the bottom of my life, that was the point that I learned the most. Apart, it's not that I'm saying that good times should never come. It's that when the bad times comes, our learning intensifies, because we are always put in a corner. And once you are put in a corner, you try to come out of it, and then you realize, oh, I have got this strength, oh, I have got this confidence, oh, I have got this never say die attitude. You discover your virtues more. If you remember the famous essay by Bacon, like of adversity, so he says that adversity shines more, or our virtues shine more in adversity rather than prosperity. So I fully comply with that. Then Rajasthan, if it's RPSC, of course, there would be questions from the state, like, and the questions, then the level of questions is not like factual or conceptual. It's more of a questions based on popular sayings. Okay, so do make that as a very important point. Popular sayings, catchy slogans. Okay, and then especially related to art, culture. For English literature, of course, it has to be connected to literature as well. So, like questions like these were asked, like Bani Thani in Rajasthan. What is the Bani Thani? Then Rangila, Rajasthan. What do you mean by that? Blue City. Okay, UNESCO sites in Rajasthan. I would say hot favorite of the panel. And then Great Wall of Rajasthan, like Great Wall of China. So this was all about a kind of quick summary of the interview questions that were asked. I hope that's going to help all the learners across the different streams and not streams, but across the different people formats that who are going to appear. And most importantly, This question, as I have said, is a general template for all of us now to prepare our questions in a better way. And to, again, I would say, more than preparing the question, it's important to keep our mind and body in such a shape so that we can deliver. Because I have seen many students preparing a lot of hard work content, but when the time comes, because of stress, because of expectations, because of they are not practicing this skill of calming down yourself in the critical moment, they kind of panic and everything goes haywire. So rather than doing that, it's better, as I always say, that famous quote by Abraham Lincoln, that if you have to cut a tree and you are given 8 hours, you do not keep cutting the tree for 8 hours. You keep on sharpening your blade for the first 6 hours, and the rest 2 hours will do the job for you. Thank you so much, guys. See you next in my next video. Till that moment, keep loving this field of literature. It's awesome, I am telling you. Thank you.